Just adjusting the palette cam real quick. That'll be good enough. Adjusting the palette. Oop. There we go. Hey, I actually got a Facebook. Yeah, I got one earlier as well. Did I? Yeah, okay. All right, cool. What's up, Sean? Hey, Sean, the little doodad showed up today, and I already have thoughts and ideas. So, all right. So today we're painting up the Crypt Guardian skeleton, sculpted by Paul Muller. It is a Reaper miniature, of course, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with this today. So. You can zoom in here. Now let me reposition this. Did you like that? Did you hate that? All right, let me change my life here. There we go. All right, so lots of fun detail. We're gonna be doing some OSL and maybe something else on top, but we shall go ahead and get started. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to coat the bones. The bones are gonna be covered in some camo green to start with. Some kind of light green color, an olive, like a green olive will work. You just don't want to do a brown. That's what I'm avoiding today, is doing anything atypical for all that good stuff. And I'll be doing a 1-to-1 ratio. Paint to water, of course. Should I, hold up. There we go. Not as blasted out as it was a second ago. And I do want the zenithal to show through just a little bit, but nothing too crazy. So we're starting with a nice green. The hands. Now then, is this hand, yeah, this hand appears to be ungloved as well, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now I did rotate the sword a different direction than they do it on the website, but you'll be okay if you did it that way too. The non-metallic metal on the weapon translates to both sides, so you shouldn't really have too much of an issue. So this is all part of the Patreon, though. We currently are at 79 members, so we're getting closer to that 100 patron mark. So that's really awesome. I do appreciate the people that joined after I did that hilarious video earlier in the week. So once that's dry, you're going to want some kind of like an auburn color. Auburn shadow would work well. A tarnished copper would work well. Pretty much we're looking for a sort of orangey deep brown, like a nice fall color. I'm going to make a little bit of a wash out of it, but I'm going to apply the wash as a glaze. So that's the consistency that you're looking for. Let me go ahead and rotate that out as well. So this is already dry for me. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm gonna start building in some complementary color into my shadow. Really what I'm doing is I'm applying a different hue where the shadows are going to exist. And I'm doing this before I do any real shading. So I'm just sort of thinking about a complementary color before anything else. But obviously that's why I wanted the zenithal to show through, so that way I know where I'm applying it. Go ahead and get it in the eyes. And all over that bottom jaw. And is the fur right there? Alright, so I'll go ahead and just do the whole backhand side of the skull. For now. I have some ideas as to what I want to glow here in the future. And it'll either be the whole cloak behind his head. I mean, we'll figure it out. That'll be something that happens at the end anyway. Throw some on the hands here. Nothing too crazy. And then we'll let all that dry. Now then, why don't we have some fun with the shield? So, the back of the shield is a smooth wooden texture with a lot of damage. Things like that. So what I'm going to do is you can either use your auburn color that you already had out, or you can get something a little bit darker. I'm going to use muddy brown. Oiled leather will work. Nut brown will work. Intense brown's a little bit bright, but if you have that, that'll work as well. Pretty much just a nice middle brown. And I'm going to do the 1-to-1 ratio because I want the zenithal to be usable. Alright. So let's see. Actually, so I'm thinking the back side of this will actually do as a metal. So let's just apply the wood portion, or apply this color to the wood portion on the inside. And I'm going to do 2 coats of that. So I'm just kind of letting it hang out. And then let's use the same color as the base color on the interior of the cloak here. Oh, this whole time I didn't realize he has his knees exposed. It must be summertime in the crypt. So I'll go ahead and take care of that. There we go. And then I'll wash those down here accordingly. But I hope everybody's having a good day today. I see quite a few of you hanging out. And then, like I said, I'm going to do another coat with this brown because I just knew it wasn't going to have a ton of pigment. I made it a little bit too thin. So I'm going to go back around the edge and then down towards the bottom. Just to saturate it out a little bit more. And then I'm going to do it again on the cloak portions. They're still wet, but it'll be alright. They're about halfway dry. Okay, I'll get the back of that. Alright, cool. Okay. Now that on the knees, get us back up to speed with this color. Been looking forward to the Crypt Guardian. Well, here we are. Alright. So we're going to let that hang out for now. Now then, what I want to do is make a... no, I don't want to do anything, actually. I was going to say I want to make a dark kind of purple shadow. I'm just going to grab violet shadow, because it's a good color already. And I'm going to apply that in wash fashion to a lot of different areas here, kind of as our base tone. The reason I'm doing that is because we're painting this guy like Skeletor. I'm just kidding. But purple and this green, obviously, are going to be good bases. So, you know, in my head, since the green on the bone is sort of a shadow color and not an actual base color, then I want my other shadow colors, not base colors, to be complementary to that. So I'm going to be using this darker violet as a sort of base wash on top of objects that can't really utilize this NFL and different things like that. So I'm go ahead and mixing this here on the palette. I'm going to start applying it up on all these different textures here. So all the armor, everything like that. Christian says, what's wrong with Skeletor? So I'm just kind of throwing this into all these different spots. Applying it onto the wood a tiny bit. Then I'm going to take the same color and just sort of sculpt it into the back of the cloak here, where I want these shadows to exist. Okay. This is really just to tint whatever colors we end up doing on top of these sections. But I think we're almost there. So now I need a sort of dull grayish blue color. The color that I like to use for that all the time is Templar blue, but you can see here it's just kind of like a grayed out darker blue, like a mix between a sky blue and a teal if it had gray added to it. That's really what I'm looking for. And I'm going to make a glaze out of this. Whoop, right there on the palette. Let's see, let's get closer for you. There you go. I'm going to apply this to all the weapons, just to get us, or all the weapons, all of the like metal goodies. So I'm just going to tint that down. And then on the shield, of course, as well. There we go. And that should be a light enough touch to where it won't really run anywhere. And now I would say we are ready pretty much to begin base coating and working beyond this stage. So I'm going to thicken a little bit this application of this bluer color. I'm going to add a little bit of brown as well. I'm going to wait here, let this dry for a couple more seconds. I'm going to go back in. There we go. Just adding some texture underneath before we do any other application. All right, cool. So now then, I feel like our next step, where do we want to approach this guy from first? So I'm thinking we need to start doing, we should probably do the, let's take care of the cloak. Okay, so I'm going to take Muddy Brown here again. with our typical 1-to-1. And go back in base coating around all those areas still exposed, away from where we went in and sculpted some of that purple shadow. I'm not worried about blending it in at all. I'm just kind of applying the color around it because we're going to wash things down further. And I want to retain the color that we applied. Now, of course, you can always dry brush sections like this, but we aren't members of the dry brush club anymore. And then same color down here. Let's see, so where do I still have kind of a up arrow right here? Okay. Some more water. Do a little bit there over the shoulder. There we go. All right, so now what I want is more of a, well, let's actually take that auburn shadow color, add a little bit of that in there. Okay, so now I'm looking for a brighter color, sort of along the lines. Now, where's this new rose color that I have? Old West Rose or whatever? Right here. Here we go. So I want to mix in kind of like a salmon pinky color. Mostly because I want the purple to contrast out further. And you'll notice too, mixing a pink in like this really isn't going to make the color pink. It's just going to make a sort of like a richer sort of olive skin tone with a bit of a red tint to it. And you can see that application here. It's a good color. And I'm just paying attention to where these highlights would rest. Things are still wet as well. It doesn't make any difference. We're painting something with so much texture. Shouldn't be too concerned with it. And then a lot of that Wild West Rose color here. All right, so we've got purple all the way to this rose. And then we'll let all that dry before doing anything further. So we go from pink to brown to purple. But I want to use a really dark reddish brown to do the actual wash on it. Cool, that's going to set us up right. Let all that dry. Now then, taking that gray color we had used initially, I'm going to add some of this brown to it. Go back to the palette here. Do another glaze coat. And then the only thing different that I'm going to do this time, applying it all over. And I'm going to clean the brush completely. And then move some of the glaze back off from the very top of the sphere. And then this portion right here. There we go. Alright, so what else can we coat real quick? Let's get some Noir Black out on the palette, because we're going to start moving down anyway. Mixing some Noir Black in with the rosy red color. I'm going to coat the pants. Let's see what we got here. So go ahead and do the boots as well. Then using the Noir Black, I'm actually going to coat the base to reset all of our contrast here. I always like to start getting darker more slowly in a paint job. That way you don't really like paint yourself into a corner. So eventually in every paint job I always end up painting the base black, because it's usually zenithal, so I can't really differentiate some different parts of my paint job because of that. So that's what I'm doing here. Just kind of set our eye on the prize. And remember, Noir Black too is not pitch black. It's actually a lighter shade, like a coal black. Alright, cool. So, looking at our contrast now, I'm actually totally fine with everything. Nothing's too dark yet. Because effectively what I want to do is apply an all-over wash to everything at the current stage where it is. So what we need to do is make the stuff around the arms a little bit darker. Add some of that blue here to this weird mix. And just add this portion to where the wrists are. And I'm going to do it back over all these details here. Back over the blade one more time. The reason I apply it like this is because it's going to give me a super smooth surface tension. So I know that it's not, like, you can actually see what it's doing here. It's essentially, you're able to apply a wash like a glaze if you do it like that. Just a neat little trick. And then I want to go ahead and do this on underneath the kneecaps. And we are pretty much 1/3 of the way finished now. So that'll be all of our base coating. So from this point forward, right, what we're going to do is wash certain things down with a uniform color, and then it's just going through and highlighting everything up. Of course, we're going to do glowing, so I don't know if the glowing... I kind of have an idea of what I would like to do. I'm thinking we're going to make the mouth and the eyes glow, and then we'll have glowing coming from right behind its head at the neck, where the neck meets the cowl, or, you know, his cloak. Maybe, like, around his hands, where his hands are exposed. I don't know. We may do that, and then we might do one more source. So, maybe the weapon. And it looks like... I wish I could get Paul in here, the guy that sculpted it, because I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I think that's a lantern right there. I'm pretty sure it is, but we'll just have to wait here for a second and see. Let me actually use my airbrush. Whoa, I just spilled a bunch of stuff. What is happening? I thought it was empty. An hourglass. It could be. Yeah, you're right. See, I was thinking that I thought the shape was a lantern, and it just had like two of the little things that turn. All right, you can see everything's drying really quickly now. All right, we're almost ready. I can tell that I have a dirty nozzle. Anytime your airbrush is foaming at the mouth, that's what that means. That or it has rabies. One or the other, there is no in between. Well, when you live forever, you probably want to keep track of time. I would assume. Alright, cool. So the color that we're going to go for now is going to be like a dark reddish brown. So... I'm going to use Auburn Shadow, and we're just going to mix it in with Noir Black. I don't think that's dark enough. I'm going to add more Noir Black. There we go. So now I have a really dark, dark, dark red-brown. Kind of like a scab red or something like that. Right now, because of the amount of pigment, this is at like a 3 to 1. Alright. And we'll start applying this all over. You can see already the areas with that purple are much darker than the lighter brown, the pinks that we were applying, that rose hue. And I'm just going to wipe away some of that with my finger. On the blade only. I just want it to be very inconsistent on the weapon. That'll work. Alright, up under the armpits. Everything else we got going on. I think I need to thin this a little bit too, but I think as long as it's even, will be cool. Which I'm pretty sure we're going to be fine. Need some more water. So now we're almost, in terms of the stages, 50% done. First third, of course, is doing all the base coating and tinting. Second part is now adding a uniform contrast. Then the last part is highlighting up and detailing. Now again, I'm gonna wash this down on the, I'm gonna splotch it on the weapon. Or not the weapon, sorry, shield. I keep calling it the shield's weapons. I'm not sure what where my brain's at today. I didn't have as much caffeine as I normally do. Now I'm just taking a wet brush and pushing it. There we go. Cool. All right. So now then, on the actual skeleton body parts here, what I'm going to do is essentially apply it from the middle of the head back. Like so. And then right up underneath the nose, I'll darken it. And then I'll reapply the same wash over the other bits. And there we go. Alright. So now everything will have the same contrast. It's all a very warm hue because we'll probably do a cold OSL color coming from the eyes or something. You can see how nice that all those tones worked out. You can still see the purple. The pink is now just a nice brown. It's a very natural way to do alternate hue coloring in cloaks and stuff. You can see the metal on the shield there is nice and tinted. Alright. I'm just gonna blast it out of the recesses there because it's not gonna make a difference. Boom, cool. So, not bad. We've been doing this for, what, 30 minutes? Pretty much. Not a bad stage to be at in that amount of time. I think, right? 34 minutes. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay. Now, what do we want to work on first here? We have all kinds of options. Should we do the sword? We can do the sword. Let's do the sword. Alright, so I'm going to use that same blue color, the Templar blue, so I'm going to get some of that out, and then I also need, I don't want to do white, so I'll probably do like a creamy ivory color. Hopefully it doesn't turn green. We'll just find out what pigments Reaper has inside that ivory color. If there's any yellow, then rest in pizza. But hopefully not. Alright, I have to figure out the best way to hold this guy. So I want my reflecting end on this. We're just going to do simple non-metallic metal. I want it to be towards the hilt, the base down here. And then let's see. If I back this out, actually, it'll be easier. I'm used to my other lens I've been using. There we go. Then I'll do the bottom side at the front. And then on this end, it'll be the front on top, because it's the opposite of the other end, or the other side, I should say. Like so. And then down here. Okay. Now I'm gonna take a tip full. Okay, cool. Now there's no real yellow mixed in there. That's gonna make it green. Go ahead and do the edge of the blade. And I'm just pushing that highlight down. Actually, this is a much easier angle for me to work with here, so I'm gonna do that. Okay. Alright, so we go to the other side here. Do the bottom edge. Add another tip full of white. Then we have to do the top edges again. Okay. Alright, we're getting there. Alright, so now what I'm looking for is... You know what's weird? Is like this color... Okay, it is brighter. Alright. I just thought it was similar to what we had already done, but... Like on this side it was brighter. I don't know, maybe it's more saturated. There we go. That was pretty easy. The bottom edge. I think I just messed that up on the other side. Nope, you can't tell. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna add another brush tip full. And the bottom side. From this end. I like how ratty the blade is too. Alright, so then now, pretty much all the ivory color and a little bit of the blue. I'll make a new little house for this color up here. Alright. And on this side. Alright, so we're gonna let that hang for the time being. Pleased with that. So using the same colors, just obviously in a lesser amount, I'm gonna do the chainmail here. So I'm just over brushing with the tip of my brush in this color. Just like that. There's also a belt buckle right there. Belt buckle right here. I'm not sure what that is, but we'll highlight it up. And then the metal on the hourglass. Alright. And then of course we gotta do this portion of the shield. So I want my brightest part to be right here. So this is kind of where I'm gonna start building everything from. Yeah. Since there is another edge there, I'm going to go ahead and try and hit it with the brush. And then where that highlight is, I'm going to make sure it's fully painted like that. And then continue my edge work on the other side. And then I also want to highlight up right at the very end here. And go down the edges, side of the brush. And just taper that highlight out. Various cross-hatching, little stippling. Cool. So we got a good texture started already. Then I'm going to take this color and push in my glazing highlights. And I'm paying attention to all of these dings and scratches and weird textures on this guy. Alright, so I'm happy with that. It's a nice sort of shift in the color. And we're just repeating the process of adding some of the ivory in every time. Alright, so continue to build in my highlight here. Just using the side of the brush for all the edge highlights. Okay. Now we're going to throw in some more. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Of course, we're doing a free Patreon weekend, so you guys can see what you may or may not be missing. Okay. And I'm just going back in and pushing this at like a 45-degree angle in the direction I want it to actually create a gradation or a highlight. And of course I'm still doing all the texturing. But I'm just kind of figuring out where that highlight's going to live. Doing the edges yet again. Now I'm going to go back in and focus on all of our scratches that are actually sculpted in to make sure they have highlights appropriately. And then going back to the main color here. Alright, so I think we're about ready for that brightest highlight, so I'm going to go ahead and just take the ivory color here and go across our edges. Only across the top like that, though. You need to make sure the brush is staying fluid. Oops, there's a crazy Arthur here at the end of our brush. Now it's stuck on my finger. Good old Arthur, always trying to sabotage paint jobs over here. And then on this side, should hit the top there. Cool, looking good. All right, so now then, should we? I'm wondering when we should do the skin or the pelt. Which one comes first? Sorry, the bone, I guess. But I'm just kind of overbrushing some of these metal objects here so we can wash them down real easily. Get out of a lot of work. Okay. So let me back this out real quick. See how we're looking. I like it. All right. Now then, so I want to use, I guess, tan skin, or tan flesh. I'll go to new palette land over here. Oh, I can't actually see the palette if I do that. There we go. Clean my brush. Because it is dirty. Alright, so the face, we do have some good texture, things like that, but we need to do a little bit more work before it's kind of ready for the next stage. So we're going to be glazing all this on. You can see how thin the paint is there on the palette. Very minimal. Actually, what's a better strategy here? Hold on. See if I can do it without breaking the camera here. Can I tilt you more, please? Ah, there it went. There it went. All right, let's plug it back in. Disable. Activate. Boom. All right. There we go. So now I can hold it actually like closer to my face here so I can see what's happening better. All right. All right, so go ahead and do the jawbone here. All right, so I'm gonna back this out. Change the orientation of the world here. It wants to pull so bad, and I think it's because of where my cable management is. There we go. Because there's no way for me to... Oh, yeah, there is. I'm an idiot. I'm like, there's no way I can tighten that connection. Yeah, there is. Dum-dum. All right, let me move all this out of the way. Alright, so all of the point of that was to get this nice shift in hue on the bone, which we've got. We've still got the green in there. So I'm going to do the same thing here on all of his other bone accoutrements. hands here. Hands are a little bit fiddly on this sculpt, but it's alright. No one's really paying attention to what the hands look like. And if you are, I mean, that's cool, I guess. Alright, so now then, let's kind of check our contrast levels. We're looking good. Because now at this point, now that I have a brighter color here, I would kind of want to be able to start... Yes, it would probably reflect there and there. Alright, cool. So you're going to need some white. We're going to start doing our weird OSL work here. And we need just like a pure white, no cream, no nothing. We're just looking for a nice... You get the idea. How many more times can I say it? But that's the color you want. And I'm stalling because I can't... Oh, found it. All right. I was stalling. What is this terrible... What is happening? That would have driven me insane the whole time. Why didn't I notice that? There we go. My beard's right at that stage where it's like just ready to be long. Or like growing off of the face, right? Rather than on it. I don't know how to describe that part of a beard. Okay. So. Oops, no hat club. Sorry if that bumped it. I'm going to be taking the white on palette land here. I'm gonna get nice and close for you people here. We're gonna fill the whole eye socket. Like so. And then we're gonna fill the mouth. You pretty much want to take it edge to edge. We're not right now focused on doing any like glazing of color first, because we're just gonna go ahead and literally do that with whatever color we choose. We don't need to bring that white into the mix yet. But so we've got that started. Now, I still like the idea of it possibly... Let's try it. Let's try it. Why not, huh? Oh yeah, this is gonna be ugly, but it's gonna look awesome once we're done. But it's gonna be super ugly right now. If you hadn't guessed it, we're making the whole head glow. Alright, so we're gonna let that hang out there. And then I do have sort of this dark brown mixed, like way over here on my palette, so I'm gonna mix it in with the white. And then go ahead and taper it around the edge way closer like this. So that way it's not just insane when we apply a glaze. There we go, that'll help a lot. Alright. Alright, so we're just going to wait a second. Where? There it is. Okay. And depending on the color of the OSL, that will determine the color that we actually go in and sort of tint all of our metallics in different parts of the body. But we're just hanging out for now. I'm actually going to go back in one more time into the eyes to make sure I have good coverage. got the nose as well. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. Okay, so let's do a blue. I'm a liar. Let's do a green. Alright, so I got my glaze here. What I'm going to do first is just wash it in, or whatever, just apply it in, and then around all the edges where our color exists. Make sure your white is dry. Mine wasn't dry there for about 2 shakes, so it gave me a problem. Up into the nose, all in the mouth, and then I'm going to apply it like up into the jaw joint area. Then, whoop, I'm going to go ahead and reapply it. Then around the cowl here, assuming it's dry. Yep, alright, I'm gonna go ahead and wash that in like that. You can see some of that white mixed in, but that's okay. We have plenty of time to refine. And then what I'm gonna do is apply it from the back of the skull as well, since we have OSL there. Okay. Then I'm gonna take the same color and apply it to right here. Take the same color, apply it right here. Do you like the OSL search noise I've got going on? It's a very, very advanced technique. You won't be able to know how to place light correctly unless you can make the noise. Definitely practice at home. Alright, so that's got us started where we need to be. So now what I'm going to do is actually mix a little brown in with the green. Make a darker glaze to go around our edges. Here we go. I would say this is probably 10% darker here, you can see right here, than what we had previously. And I'm doing a taper of it on these real sort of sharper areas here where it gets bright very quickly. Help add our contrast back in. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is taking the darker color, and you can see my consistency here. It's like nothing. It's like a fart of pigment. I'm just going to glaze over everything on the skull. And there we go. Now then, one thing that is bothering me is that contrast right there. There we go. And what this has shown me as well, so I'm just going to take a real dark color here. I need to deepen stuff. So I'm going to take that violet shadow and tone down our metals here. Now I'll go back and re-highlight, but for now, I don't want them to compete in terms of tone. I'll go back with more of the green, right in that transition area, and reapply it. I'll zoom in for you. This actually needs to be toned way down, but it's wet right up underneath, right here. So we gotta let some stuff dry, but I'm gonna glaze some more of this color. And right here. Let's see, does anything stick out beneath the head? Not really, so we don't have to worry about a reflection down below, but to the left and right, that's all I was really focused on. Cool, so I'm gonna back this out. So I would say we definitely have a glow going on. Still have room to work though, obviously. But, all right. Now what I'm gonna do is actually take the white and mix it in with our green. And we're gonna start manually doing some work here. So up underneath the jaw. So we're gonna do, it's not gonna be perfect, but we're gonna mislead the viewer. But I'm going for the bottom of the jaw. I'm gonna do this curved portion of the skull here, as if, you know, we have some definition of a reflection there. Up underneath the giblet bits, I don't really know what any of this is, so I'm just guessing it's all bits and bobbles, and I'm just gonna kind of throw the highlight in there like that. Do another application. Build it up again down here. And same thing, I'm just gonna build it up from the back. There we go. It's really not too difficult if you just have the paint at the correct consistency. All you're doing is you just apply it, you wait a second, you apply, literally like 1 second, and you apply it again, you apply it again. You're just dot, dot, dot. And then I'm gonna go ahead and overbrush it carefully here onto the surrounding cowl. We're gonna keep working on the cowl more and more, but Overbrushing will get the detail out that's going to be popping anyway. Just like that. But definitely pleased with the color that we're picking up here. Remember, you guys can watch me in 1080p on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. This video will remain afterwards too, so if you want to go buy the same miniature, you can paint along with us. That's what we do on Patreon every single month. At $10 a month, you get 2 different lessons. This is our second lesson. They always happen on the second and last Saturday of the month. The class that we're doing today is a little bit more advanced at that $10 tier. The $5 lessons usually are approachable by any skill level in the hobby, teaching core concepts, things like that. Anytime we do a lesson for the plus tier, which is what this is, it's always a little bit more involved, mostly to challenge people. And this week we're definitely having a lot of fun. But you can check out all that information at patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. Whenever you join, you have access to, at this point, over 60 hours worth of lessons. Everything's available that we've ever done, so pretty much people that join have absolutely no hope in ever catching up and doing everything. But what that means is you have a list of things that you know that exist, and you can kind of pick and choose which lessons that you want to go back on. And then, of course, for people that are joining and stick around, we also let everybody vote on the topics of things that they want to see in the videos or the lessons or whatever. So that's what happens every 6 months. So we've got the whole list of everything that we'll be working on through, I don't even remember. I mean, I think through like December or something is everything that we have plotted out. But so now what I'm doing is I'm going back in with a much brighter color here and picking up details just to accentuate the eye. And I want to make sure the eye is dotted perfectly. I'm going to double check that since we did wash it down. There we go. I'm going to do the other one. The other one actually, the cast has like a divot on the inside, which makes things very difficult. But by making sure that I made that bright white, I'll be able to go in and glaze further. I'm going to do it again with the interior of the mouth. Since all of this is a game of moving back and forth in terms of our contrast, you always want to make sure you're not going too far in any direction. Let's back it out. Oh yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to take that same brown that we had used as kind of a wash, and I'm going to connect that to the edges of the taper on the cloak one more time. Wash it down a bit. You can see how much that helps too. See how nice that is? So if we compare it on the left there to the right, it just completely hides and masks half of what you're seeing, so it's not as crazy. But how long have we been working on this, guy? So this is about an hour and a half of work. That's not too bad. I think it's pretty good results in a very short amount of time. Okay. So I'm going to make a very bright version of this color to re-highlight up portions of the sword here. So I want that color to really be prominent. And you do the same thing here on the shield for sure. I gotta wait for that to dry. I was about to go in, it was really wet. Alright, let's back him out. Alright, I have some plans on how we're gonna do some weird shifts as well. But what we need to do is start highlighting things up outside of the OSL so that way we can kind of know where our problems are, different things that we need to fix. So what I'm going to be looking for are relatively neutral colors to highlight things up. So I'm thinking some kind of like deeper red for the pants. So I'm going to grab that auburn shadow we've been working with anyway. I feel like that will probably do just fine for these highlights. Everything's going to have to be glazed in terms of the highlight level, but it shouldn't be too crazy. So I'm going to make a little glaze section here in palette land. Anytime I do that, what I'm doing is I just throw water onto the wet palette, grab the paint, and then boom, there you go. You just drop it into all the water, and that will give you the consistency you're looking for. And we'll start some highlights here. The reason I'm going with more of a glaze consistency right now is that this auburn shadow color has so much pigment that I would rather do it slowly and not sort of overstep my boundaries in terms of how quickly I highlight it. The one thing to keep in mind too, right, wherever we're doing this glow effect, that needs to be not only the most saturated color, but also the brightest color on the miniature. That's the best way to sell the effect. So I'm just staying cognizant of that with this application. Like anything we're doing from now on the miniature, I have to keep that in mind. Because the second I go too far too fast, it's like, oh, okay, well now the crazy kind of glow is gone. All the colors I'm going to be paying attention to as well are either going to be sort of more red to orange or magenta flavored, because we did go with that really rich green for our color. And so that way I'll have it all be contrasting. Our color theory tells us that's how it works. And remember too, if you ever need help with color theory, anything like that, if you go to my website, I'm not doing the physical product anymore, but for $10 you can get my periodic table of painting and print it off at home. Print it wherever you want, I don't care. I'm not trying to sell physical stuff anymore. So, what that does is it teaches you the same color theory that I use, but what it does is it has little formulas for you that you can follow to know if I'm working with color A and I want a complementary color or 4 complementary colors, 3 complementary colors, whatever. It has a little formula, you know, add 8 to this number, subtract 8 from this number, and boom, it helps you out. But you can check that out, minipainting.studio. Click on the store, and boom, you'll get that email link immediately. So what I did was I highlighted it all relatively the same amount of highlighting. I'm going to take this rosy color, mix it in a little bit as well to go a little bit brighter, and then I'm going to glaze it down in the shadows. But I just wanted to make sure that I had everything nice so I can keep it nice and subtle. I'm really only focusing here on the edges of the pants with this sort of rose-colored pink highlight. It doesn't look pink, of course, because we're applying it on top of an orange-brown, so it's going to look more brown than it does pink, but we know the deal. It's rose. There's no secret about it. It's a rose color. Alright, cool. So I'm happy with that. We're going to glaze that down here in just a second. Now that I'm going to take that same kind of purpley glaze color that we had previously. Actually, I have no idea where it went. I mixed it down. It doesn't exist on my palette. So we should probably get some of that right here. Something like that. Right there. Yep. There we go. So just get water right next to the color. Add a little bit of the color. There we go. And boom. I'm just going to push this in. Whoops, sorry. So you can see how I'm shading it. I'm pushing it in towards the crotch. I just wanted to pronounce that in the most abrasive way possible. Sorry. Matt, you know what? I'm gonna throw this on this chainmail too. Something about that blue tone is really messing with me. Now that we've done the glow. Pushing this back in towards the crotch and back up under the arm and everything. There we go. I'm gonna do the bottom half of this cloak as well with the same color. Let's bring that down. I'm just gonna use a very basic tan color. But, so now you can see where we've shaded that out. I'm just gonna let that dry. It's back way out. Camera, focus. There it is. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Alright, so we've still got a really, really great ratio of glow to light so far. Would this be hitting? Oh, it would. Oh. Oh. It's hitting the top of the sword, too. As much as I'd like it to go to the back of the sword, that's not how physics works, so that's not happening, but alright. Glaze the back of his head a little bit more. Glaze that down too. That's still wet. Oh my gosh. This part of the mold is like crazy deep right underneath the neck. If you're painting along at home, definitely watch out for that. I wish Paul was here in the chat with us so I could harass him for that super deep hole in the neck. But I'm sure that also gets accentuated over time from the master in the mold. Alright. Pleased with that. What's the next section? Let's just do the bottom side of the cloak. I don't really care what color you pick. This could be painter's choice. But I'm going to do some kind of like ochre or an olive skin. Actually, I take that back. But this is pretty much an ochre yellow of any kind of flavor, but they're calling it olive skin. This is the same color that I like to do whenever I do non-metallic metal gold. Oh my gosh, I just knocked this guy to the ground. But, so this is the same recipe, right? We use the same colors here. This is a guy that we're painting up for the $20 patrons. We're doing a full, like, box art level paint job, paint-along session, 4 times a month, once a week. This is the last section we worked on, was that sweet, sweet gold right there. But that color is an ochre, so it can work as a gold. It can work as a green. You have a lot of utility whenever you work with a color like that. So I'm gonna grab this tone here, make sure it's nice and glazy, and we'll start our highlight. And that's the whole point here too, is I don't want to do any real mixing. I just want to layer my color directly on top, and then I can tone it down with something else afterwards. So I'm just going through and gently highlighting. The consistency of my paint right now is pretty much perfect, so I can apply it, move on, come back to it, apply more, highlight up more. It's drying immediately. Which is pretty much what I always want whenever I'm doing highlights like this. Move on to this section. What I'm doing here too is I'm paying attention to where the folds are, because that's going to dictate where the highlights are. Just like when you're working on skin, if you're working on any kind of cloth, assuming it's not like something weird like velvet or, you know, velour or silk or micromodal or rayon or, well, nothing we need to worry about here, obviously. But it's just like skin. You're going to push your highlight up to the nearest shadow edge and highlight it from there. And just highlighting all this out. If you are watching, it's your first time watching, feel free to say hey in the chat. If you are watching in general, feel free to say hey. We've had a lot of people watching and no one talking. Not that I care, guys. It's fine. I talk to myself all the time. Usually I just play it off like I'm talking to one of the pets. I don't even have any pets in this room, do I? I thought I did. Oh, Garrus, what are you doing over there? I do have a dog in here, I lied. He's just literally, he's laying next to his bed up against a wall. It's really weird. He likes being tucked up though, so that makes sense. When you talk to yourself, that's funny, Chris. Now see, Chris and I are Facebook friends. So Facebook lets me know whenever he's watching. I don't know if people that... I don't think people that that haven't streamed on Facebook know that. So like if you have a friend that's streaming, it'll say, like, lists all the people that I know that are watching. Arthur's cool with the dog, Garrus, who's in here now. He's not cool with the cat. So that is just going to be something we work on for quite some time, I'm sure. But I'm happy with our cloak here. I'm thinking I'm actually going to go in with like a green, a dark green. Wait, who? Garrus. Hi, come here. Let's see if I can get this boy. Come here, buddy. Oh, he's big stretching. Come here. Oh, come on, come on. Come here, come here. Oh my gosh. We got a puppy. Hi, puppy. Oh, big boys. Hi, big boys. Oh. Are you okay? Are you gonna survive? That's a camera. Yeah, are you bumping the camera? Are you ready to go back to sleep? What are you doing? Alright, goodbye. Goodbye. Here you go. Watch out, I want to roll over you. Alright. Of course, now I've got dog hair on my hands. Oh my gosh. I can't escape the fur, man. Alright, so I'm going to highlight this up a little bit more. He's got a doctor appointment with a ball barber on Wednesday. He's going to be a little bit less of a man. Alright, so, hey Chris, how's it going? Good to see you on YouTube. Yeah, he like never barks unless he's outside, and that's the problem. is that he does it as a game to like get us to come get him. Like he's just very very testosterone driven in the things that he does, and he's a runner, as in he will run away from us. So like on the other day, Sydney had a Zoom interview, and 15 minutes before that happened, so this place doesn't have a back door, which we didn't really think was a huge deal, and it's kind of like not a huge deal, but we don't have a back door to get into the backyard. So what we have to do is we put him on a leash and then, you know, just walk him to the backyard or do whatever. And the problem is he will run if he can get out. And so the other day, 15 minutes before this interview that she had, he got out, and it was so bad. I mean, we chased him for so far and so long that it was one of those things where I was about to just say, hey, we will see him again when he inevitably gets found by someone, because like he was doing it like a game, and like he was taking us for a walk type of thing, like he was in charge, which is a testosterone thing, and he's just about 2 or just over 2, like all around that age. So neutering him should help tone that down. And then one of those it definitely wasn't funny at all. I literally wanted to end his life, but because like what he does is it's all this it's him being a male dog. Like it's all intentional. It's not him just like having fun. It's him being like, I'm only gonna let you get so close to me, but I'm never gonna let you see me again, type of thing. And the only way we got him back is there was someone running on the trail, and so he's like, oh, a new friend. He would have never stopped for us. But so we're essentially doing in the house now, he can't do anything without sitting first, because that's the one thing he knows how to do. So anytime he wants something, anytime we're about to give him food, if he wants to jump on something, if he wants pets, anything, he has to sit first. And so that's kind of our way of being like, you literally depend on us for everything. Alright, so I'm going to take Jungle Moss. I'm going to use that as our shadow color on this. So just a dark green. But the interview went well. No, he's definitely not chipped. It wasn't my dog, so none of those things are up to me. So I'm pushing this color up into the shadow areas. It was funny because after we did that, she immediately had to act like everything was cool and do an interview, and nothing's local. I mean, there are no jobs hiring that are designed. I mean, it's weird. Like, economy definitely is not bouncing back, but so it's remote, and then she has a follow-up interview, and then she so I guess it went well, right? And then she had another, like, a brewery that needs design work, wants to do another interview with her too. Which is weird because the companies that are doing fine right now in terms of design work, things like that, are alcohol. Like anybody that's doing alcohol or anything like that does well. So that green tint definitely helped a lot. Alright, so let's back this out, see where we're at. Definitely doing better. I feel like the legs are still too bright, so I'm gonna wash them down a little bit more with the auburn, or not the auburn, the violet shadow. Apply the color too in the deepest areas here. There we go. Alright. I want to highlight up the kneecaps here. People aren't spending their money. That's the thing. I mean, the breweries are the alcohol companies switched over to making ethanol hand sanitizer. That's what they did in Dallas. That's what they did in Oklahoma City. So they had money coming in producing that. I mean, that's obvious what people want. But yeah, if you'll notice, the hand sanitizer that you can find on the shelves is all ethanol based. And then I'm going to highlight this stuff up a little bit more. I have Garrus hairs everywhere. All right. Okay, so let's finish up this little hourglass situation. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of sketching in my bright areas here on it. And then we'll taper the glass. All I'm doing is I'm applying a feathering kind of glaze here on the glass. Now, what I don't know what to do is with the arm wraps, we do need to figure that out. Alright, so let's back this out. Very pleased with where we are at so far. Let me highlight up this wood on the shield. We never did anything with it. And then let's weather some stuff. And then finish it up. Again, thanks for hanging out. I decided to do today's Patreon video for everybody. And we are almost to 100 patrons. Whenever we get to 100 people, we'll be adding even more stuff. But right now, the best value, obviously, is for people that are at that $20 level, because you get, what is it? You get you get 10 to 12 hours of content a month, which is obviously really cool. But even at $5, you're getting 3 hours plus a class plus anything else that goes down. But definitely check it out. patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. And then as a patron as well, everybody will have access ahead of time to all of the kits that are coming out in the future. Of course, those classes are limited to 10 per class. So I'm assuming they will go relatively quickly once they hit the actual public release every time. But I'm expecting those now to happen in July, August. All right, so of course, as well, you can always see everything that I use pretty much here in the studio every single day on Amazon. Or if you just want to help me get free money, if you're going to be shopping on Amazon anyway, you can go to minipainting.studio, click the Amazon link that's there, and then just buy whatever you're going to buy. And Amazon will go, here you go, Josh, here's 3 pennies. So that's another way you can help me out. But a lot of people have been doing that, and it does add up. Pretty much every month it helps me buy supplies, anything else that I need. Even house stuff. It's been a big, huge help. So thank you everybody that's been doing that too. I'm just adding some more spotted highlights here around the edge because we're going to go in and weather some stuff. And I know that it's going to get toned down, but it will actually increase the weather color because we're going to do some rust. All right. So what can we... I want to do the sword. We need to do the shield. We need to do this side of the shield as well. All right, let's do that. Easy enough, I am sure. Thanks, Chris. Oh, Garrus, you gonna sit right there, buddy? Oh, what a nice puppy. I'm sure Arthur's somewhere punching the air that he's not in here with me. All right, so I'm gonna get Rust Brown because we're gonna paint Rust, and it's very appropriately named. Let me open this up real quick. Vroom vroom. Ow. Okay. I got a Patreon notification. Someone deleted their pledge just now. Oh, it happens. Oh, well. Alright, so we're going to work on our rust. So I'm going to make a wash out of this. We're just going to apply it multiple times. People also forget that they're on Patreon, and since we're getting to the end of the month, you know, I usually lose people at the very end of the month and the very beginning because either they remember that they were on there and they're like, oh, I got to cancel that, or they get charged and they're like, oh, I need to cancel that. So it usually happens all at the same time. So I'm just going to apply this rust in right on the edge here where the wooden boards meet the metal of the shield. I'm going to throw some more in here around where it meets the hand, just for some visual interest. Alright, so that's fine with me. I guess I'll add a little bit more back here. I'll add some down here too, pretending the shield continues on. Nice. Alright, so now let's work on the shield itself. So I'm going to push up underneath, and I'm going to go around this little portion here. And then I just kind of want to go down. What I'm doing right now is always kind of like a... this is like the backdrop to where I'm going to put the rust, kind of like a rust base coat. So this is the rough shape that I want to put everything in. But, you know, not like actual rust sort of texture. It just kind of tells me where I'm going to put it all. Alright, so now I'm going to get it a little bit less watered down. So what I like to do is I always like to put in shapes like this, clean the brush off, and then push into those shapes. And that's always going to give you a really realistic rust texture. Same thing up here. Let's see, I'm gonna back this out. Looks pretty cool to me. So let's see, I need this to wrap around. Alright, so I'm pleased with that for now. Rust that out. Oh, the blade. We gotta do the blade too. I always wait to do rust until after I've like done all the highlighting and stuff on a blade, just because it makes it a little bit harder for you to kind of tell what areas are getting how much work. And so I'd rather make sure it all like makes sense before I go in and apply a bunch of rust or anything like that. So I'm doing the same thing I always do, right? We did the same thing on the shield. I just kind of do the blotchy wash first to kind of like let me know where I'm gonna put in the actual rust. That way you can just kind of like visually balance it out whenever you're doing that part. Alright. Back to our rust. Whoops. I thought I could zoom in. I could not zoom in. Oh my gosh, I have a Garrus hair on the brush. I'll never be able to escape the pet hair. Oh my gosh. There we go. And they're all shedding right now too for the summer. Whole house is just a fur mess. Oh, he's licking my leg. Garrus, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to insult you. I know. He's like, what did I do wrong? Okay. And then I'm going to take this, but a little bit darker, to wash it into the chainmail armor. Let's do the belt buckle, and then part of our hourglass. I'll back this out. Where are we at? Right here. I have too many paintballs on my desk. Here we go. This is how I do it. You just shove them out of the way. It'll work out. Definitely pleased with where we're getting here. Definitely looks super, super cool. Love the shield. Think the shield turned out great. So now I'm going to apply 2 colors. First one's going to be magenta. Second one's going to be purple. Maybe even some blue. Hey, buddy. So we're going to go to the Graze and Glaze land here on the palette. Get the clear magenta. I don't need a lot. And get some purple. I also don't need a lot of that. Get some blue. This time I'm using clear blue. I haven't touched this bottle in a long time, so I know it needs some love. There we go. Alright. Now then, these are just going to be kind of like adjusting colors. Just kind of applying them in different areas. Just for little hue shifts. As glazes, of course. The clear colors are nice too, because obviously when they dry, they are not as intense as when you apply them. Sorry, I should say they're not as saturated. So you can apply it and you can see, right, like, well, that all is pretty blue. It doesn't dry that way at all. Very rarely, I mean, you'd have to do multiple layers to actually get it to pop off like that. Okay, and throw some on the shield here. Good measure. Let's do some in this corner. And just feather the edge with my brush. Now I'm going to do the same stuff with magenta. There we go. So you can see how nice that looks on the metal. I'm going to apply a little bit more here. So I'm just going to tint that whole area. I'm going to go back with the blue one more time. Where'd I have that blue? Like right here? There we go. Throw some in around the hand, where we had that other rust. Let's do some on the metal as well. Let's just do this whole backside blue. There we go. Now then on our sword, I'm gonna do the tip of this blue. And the base bottom I want to be blue. Like so. All these little colors, you can just come in at the end and just drastically start reshaping your paint job, the contrast, the feel of it. You pretty much do it with just primary colors, and it all works out for you. And we'll do some blue down here. And we'll get some magenta. And the purple. Okay. Let's back it out. Oh yeah, this guy looks crazy now, huh? You know what we're missing? We're missing like a yellow. Oop. Wow, I bent the sword. Expert level model destruction. I kind of fixed it. Oop, and a no hat clubbing it. Alright, so I'm adding a little bit of yellow on this guy in random spots, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go through and add some bright white reflections, and we'll call it a day. Remember, you don't want to go too light on anything because that would compete with the OSL effect, but you do want to have some sort of pops of reflection and highlight color. Right now I'm just glazing in some yellows. And don't worry, I'll take a photo of this guy too and just upload it. So those of you at home, the patrons that are doing the paint along today, can compare and contrast. Whoop. All right, so now I'm just gonna take a couple little dots of white in different areas. Some water here. All right. Alright, I think that'll be it for him. So, I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out today, working on our Patreon paint along on the Crypt Guardian Skeleton, I believe is the name, painted by Paul Muller himself. Definitely pleased with the paint job. I think it turned out great. I definitely wanted, you know, like a magical sort of ancient, ethereal feel to a lot of it. And I think we knocked that out of the park. Everything is just crazy, crazy saturated with color. All kinds of good stuff. We got the glow coming from inside the mouth, the nose, the eyes, the back of the head, and then all the corresponding rust colors, everything else like that. So, again, this was an example of one of our Patreon classes. We do, I guess, technically now 6 different video classes, depending on your tier a month. And you can definitely check that out at patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. But I hope you guys appreciated it. I appreciated you hanging out with me. And I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day. Definitely check that out if it's something that interests you. You can also see another example of a free video at minipainting.studio/free to give you another idea of just another topic that we've gone over. But that is it. And I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. And hang in there. I'll see you all, of course, on Monday for another episode of Miniature Monday. We'll be working on the camel from the Desert Kit. I know I just released the images as well last week of the Mechanical Dungeon Kit. And then after that, we've got the ReaperCon Kit. So definitely excited about that. But remember, this video is in 1080p as well on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to buy this miniature and paint it exactly the same way, you definitely can, following along on those videos, on the video uploads. That's pretty much what all the people on Patreon do is go back and watch it again later. So, but big thanks everybody, and that will be it for today. So have a good one, and I'll catch you later.